What is going on, guys? Are we in a bear market and we just can't admit it? Is it? Is this the end of the glorious run? This is the chart of Casper. What's going on, guys? What's going on? My brother Michael Gerard is the first comment. What is happening, bro? And we've never had a bear market going into a liquidity expansion. So this one is really, really interesting. Bear market is mentioned everywhere, but you can actually see the charts for yourselves. I think I have a different opinion in the market. I haven't given up hopes of a last hurrah for crypto this cycle. This is the Russell 2000, which we talk about always in this channel. And I want to talk about the fundamental structures that need to be broken before we can call it a day. Until then, I'm pretty much, let's be fair, we're stuck with altcoins. And there's probably not a lot of time left for this cycle to play out the way we want it to play out. But I did tout the 5-year, perhaps 7-year cycle where we're seeing asset prices right now. I'm still relatively up on my Casper entry, but boy, oh boy, has it taken a beating. And I've got a chart for you here. Again, charts are not enough right now because the fundamental structure of crypto has not broken just yet. We will depart at some point from tradition. And until then, this is an incredibly important chart for anybody who's in altcoins. And I'm gonna do something here to actually show why we're not done yet. Okay, I could be wrong, so do not hold it against me. Right now, it's very difficult to come out and state your beliefs. What is going on? Is that Decav? Love the way you've written that name. What's going on, brother? Hope you're well. Hope your family is well. Hope you're all doing well, and hope that the bull cycle is this bear market, mini bear market we're in, is not taking your emotions to another level. But guys, let's talk about the market. Let me know in the comments what cryptocurrencies you want to look at. I did actually do an impromptu live because I was out for the last couple of days just working on some potential business opportunity in the real world. Having said that, let's have a look at this. So OG crypto wallets, right? We need to talk about this because you need to understand not everyone is in love with Bitcoin. So what you're seeing here, right? OG crypto whales have been dumping $1 billion worth of Bitcoin every day throughout the month of October. Okay. Now, forget about ETF flows. This is actually, the price stayed flat because of long-term holders have been cashing in. Now, if you obviously compile all of that, that is a pure $33 billion of sell pressure. And I know we're going into a liquidity expansion, but the picture is not as straightforward as what everybody calls out to be. It's straight to the top. Traditionally, everything is broken right now. Like sometimes a lot of us are in disbelief. We're not going to sugarcoat that. It has been an absolute crazy, crazy market. But let's look at the reasons as to why we think we could actually break the 50-week simple moving average. Like people like, big people like Benjamin Cowan is a firm believer of that. Once we break that, we then move into a bear market. How long would that last? But potentially, we need to also understand the sell pressure here. Yeah, very good, brother. I hope likewise to you as well. Likewise to you. It's always good to remember family. And yeah, thank you for asking, brother. Really appreciate that. So this has been obviously huge. And these wallets are really ancient. We're not talking about small wallets here. We're talking about people that bought, 100 or 200 Bitcoins for a couple of $100. That's a massive sell pressure, right? So we need to know, we need to understand this. We need to understand the reasons behind this. And this is what we know so far. And we're talking about really dormant ancient, so these are dormant miners, early whales as well. And of course, retail. I can tell you right now, a lot of retailers are out. It has been exhausting. And it's really been kind of like, for altcoins anyway, it's been really, really crazy. But majority of the demand for Bitcoin is coming from institutions. So this is why we're seeing retail wipeout due to institutional demand. In addition to that, what you have is, so I shared a chart today with the VIP members in our Discord. And I said to the guys, I was like, guys, look, you could, you could see MicroStrategy now doing worse than Bitcoin. Like literally the stock is not doing great. And I do believe at some point, this will be a concern for a bear market trigger. Bitcoin treasury companies are taking on debt, of course, and the price of Bitcoin remains flat or goes down. We could see a huge trigger there for a possibly massive bear market. Now, of course, everybody and their dog talks about spot ETFs buying. And of course, stable coins are flowing in. And yes, this is a massive institutional cycle. Hence, the small guy is completely squeezed out. And guys, smash the like, because, when you prepare information like this for a small channel like us, there's a lot of research. That's why I go dark some days now, not just doing video content, but doing the research, because this type of stuff is really what we need to understand. Okay. So what we're seeing now, there is absolutely no ammo to buy more Bitcoin for a lot of people, especially retail. This is, this is an absolute fact. We're barely buying altcoins. We're barely DCAing into altcoins. And this is the other one. And many of us can actually relate to this, especially with the price of Bitcoin the way it is. And even with some assets, like some of the altcoins. Okay. So what we have here is a scenario where only ETFs are pretty much actively buying the market. And for me, that's not a concern now, because whales will follow. And of course, again, the price of Bitcoin will reverse. What we're seeing right now, before I highlight the bull case, this is pretty much as part of the bear case. This is what's happening in the sell pressure of the market. So let's continue breaking this down. 40%. We've got 40% of spot ETF flows are basis of traders flipping premiums, not holders. And that's also very important to understand. Again, we could go the simple route of saying, when bull season, why are we not pumping? The time will come. But for now, what you're seeing is even the spot ETFs that the whales are making us believe is the reason why the market is going to be bullish. Well, 40% of those ETF flows are traders flipping premiums. Until all liquidity finishes, the upside stays capped. I think this is pretty much a short-term bearish sentiment. And we need to watch the wallets. Again, we don't have to all watch the wallets, but when you're looking at an informed decision about the direction of the market, you need to understand we need to be aware of these wallets, because again, this was like 400,000 Bitcoin being sold into the month of October, or October, as they told us. Now, what we need to expect is more volatility. Everybody's talking about 98K. And that could be potentially on the line. So, 98K is a level where I see a lot of liquidity. It will just be so crypto for that level to be tapped on a wick. Again, we're talking about the bear case. And for the majority of the video, I'll also talk about the bull case, right? Now, the Trump, obviously, this is... we saw him on one of the news channels over the I think today or yesterday, but Trump nuking the risk appetite with the China tariff, that got resolved, but that allowed big money to, again, refocus on buying slightly lower Bitcoin prices. So what do we know? So OG Wells are exiting. So do you think, I mean, ultimately, does this impact the price of crypto and altcoins? And again, headlines are piling up, long-term holders versus short-term holders. You're starting to see, things like this being mentioned more frequently. And I think that's a discussion that we need to have regardless of the current situation. Now, in other news, okay, so this just came out officially now. The US government shutdown is expected to last through Thanksgiving, potentially 1st of December, according to Polymarket. Now, this would be a 61-day shutdown, doubling the previous record. Now, it is causing major concerns. And of course, the question is, what's happening here? And I genuinely believe when the shutdown is lifted, there will be a release of liquidity into the markets. And this is the bull case. Okay. This is the absolute bull case. We are not at the moment in a total risk-free environment. They are continuing to drain. And it kind of gives the Fed a cover as well, drain liquidity till then, and then get the markets to move. So I'm saying, like, for a lot of investors, in the first 30 days, the shutdown, the US government borrowed incremental plus 600 billion of debt. That's an average of 19 billion per day. And of course, this is a very important, it's all about the liquidity, right? Follow the money as much as you can and forget the noise. And that brings me to the Bitcoin chart. Now, right now, what we're seeing here, Bitcoin below key levels. And we talked about liquidity. Look at that liquidity here, guys, right? It makes real sense for us to be able to kind of grab some of that, although liquidity is also building to the upside. But I do see this massive wick that we've had, this manipulation wick here, could potentially be filled. Again, nobody knows if it's going to be fully filled, but I did have this fundamental line that Bitcoin has been bouncing off to try and to form that new structure there. I marked it out in the short term, but I continue to hold my bags, even though a lot of them are absolutely right now, to be fair, worthless. Not all cryptos are made equal. Some are very strong, some are incredibly weak. And the strongest cryptocurrency that I hold right now, hands down, that's in significant profit, is Bitensa Tau. And I still have profit in Casper because I got into Casper quite early, but that has all been eaten. So what do we see here on the chart, guys? I can see this level being an absolute wick to fill this. So what you're seeing here is a very strong demand for Bitcoin in this 98 to about $106,000, where it is right now, especially if we get to 103. You can't get more simpler than that, in my opinion, because these are institutional order blocks. We've got our sell order blocks over there, and these are buy order blocks. So yeah, man, I'm seeing Ethereum actually. ETH has probably a lot more potential it's been holding up pretty well. ETH has actually been on this 50% level quite consistently, but there was something that I was just watching before I got here, and that was an interview by Crypto Banter with what do you call, what's his name? What's that brother's name? Benjamin Cowan. And I wanted to, because we need to share as much information as possible, right? And it's interesting to see where, of course, Benjamin Cowan is a Bitcoin maxi. And as a Bitcoin maxi, sometimes you've got to be careful with the overall narrative. But I do believe this was done 3 days ago.
Is that this?
And I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to share this tab with you 1 second. And then we're going to look at things like the Russell 2000 and other reasons as to why I'm remaining bullish in this market. And I cannot believe, honestly, the prices that are out there now, whether you trade, whether you hold spot, absolute insanity, guys. So I'll come back to this chart. Let's just check out what Mr. Kyron is saying here.
That did mark the end of prior cycles. Any prior drop below that 50-week moving average on weekly closes, the cycle was over at that point. And you can see that it's happened every single time, right? This is, a few cycles ago, and now we're just potentially doing it again. But the good news is that right now we're still above the 50-week moving average, and I think the 50-week SMA is around like 103K. So put it this way, if we get multiple closes below 100K, then the cycle is likely over. Until that time happens, I still think there's some reason to be optimistic.
But even if the cycle's not over, you're saying there could be one last hurrah before the end of the cycle. But you still think that, I mean, you're talking about Q4, there's 9 weeks left in Q4. There's 9 weeks left in this year. Like that's where we're at. So you're saying like best case scenario, there's 9 weeks left of this bull market, and that would be like one big move up. Worst case scenario, we close under the 100 or 103 or whatever that number is or lands up being, and that's the end of the bull market.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at 2017, which there's a lot of similarities between this cycle and 2017. One of the ways to look at that is if you look at the number of days since Bitcoin had a 50% drop. You see how like last cycle there was a lot of volatility where we had frequent 50% drops, and then 3 cycles ago, there was a lot of 50% drops. But this cycle, we haven't had 50% drops. It looks a lot like the 2017 cycle, right? Where there was also really low volatility. So I think there's reason to look at this through the lens of what happened in 2017. And one of the things to note, maybe about some other coins, not just Bitcoin, but Ethereum, Ethereum was also kind of doing the exact same thing in 2017 that it's doing now. It was going sideways. It was not moving. It was hanging out just above its bull market support band. And it stayed there until mid-November, right? Like it stayed there until mid-November.
Yes.
And it still got one final rally, and then the bear market ensued. So, yeah, like I still think it's possible that we get one final move, but that's what I'm hoping for. But I'm just being like open and honest with people. I want to be transparent. If we get any weekly closes, 2 weekly closes in a row below the 50-week moving average, like I'm probably out.
Is there a view that says that maybe the reason why the cycle indicators didn't trigger is because the cycle was driven by institutions, and those cycle indicators, example, the YouTube views, example, like some of the indicators, that they were actually looking at like retail centric indicators, which is what's driven both the other cycles. And in this cycle, it's a completely different cycle driven by completely different capital. And that's why the indicators didn't trigger.
Well, yeah, I think you're probably right. There's 2 other things I would say. One is that if the cycle's not over, then maybe there is still time for some of those indicators to trigger. Maybe they trigger in December and we're just being impatient, right? Like that is a potential outcome. The other thing is that this entire cycle, and I know this seems kind of crazy, right? But this entire cycle, to me, has felt like a bigger version of that 2019 move, okay? And let me just explain it really quickly, because I know a lot of people, you can base it around the 4-year cycle, but the monetary policy of this cycle, of this entire 3-year bull market, has been the most similar to what we had in 2019. And what you'll see here is, if you look at the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve, and by the way, this is very timely, because the Federal Reserve is going to meet later today. And we're recording, we're talking about this on the 29th, yes. But they're going to have.
So there you have it. I mean, look, it can be this or it could be that. How low do I see the market going? Right? That's also important. I mean, look, big up Caveman, big up Moon Bear Crypto, my brothers in the chat. But you could see I marked up these 2 levels like weeks ago. And so far, Ethereum, where we really need to be concerned, has absolutely played out to this 50% level. We've hit this this is a very, very key level that Bitcoin is in, or sorry, Ethereum's in on the daily. If we break it, I can see demand sitting around that $2,900 on a wick, but you also have the 618 over here. Will we get there? It looks like we may on a quick wick down from here. We lose this level, grab this liquidity here, and then boom, we bounce off and we go off to the races. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Benjamin Cohen did actually, you know, he's bullish on Q4 alt season. There's a lot of flip-flopping going on, but one thing he has fundamentally stuck to, and I do like people that, at the very least, you've got to stick to your theory, but you've got to be flexible. I think what killed a lot of people is the lack of flexibility, especially in invalidation. And I have been a victim of that myself because of what we've seen previously. But this is a bigger cycle. And this chart that I had for weeks has played out. I mean, look, think about it. The Ethereum liquidation candle has pretty much almost been filled. So if you remember when we had that crazy couple of weeks ago, we had this massive red candle here. If you look at this, right, specifically the price action here, this wick here, it looks like it's been taken care of right now. And when you actually zoom in, what you realize is what we have is another leg down here where for Ethereum to fill that wick completely, we need to drop around, not a lot from here. But what we see is price going towards these two green dots here. And I think that's going to be a formality. Now, could we see a price, obviously, of below 3,000? Like I said, this level here is the 618, and that should hold above 3,000. But the liquidity for Ethereum sits at the 786. So we could see a price that absolutely tanks a little bit on a wick. It's not really tanking. We've been there before. But I can see this becoming an important zone for a reversal. Now, what all of that means for us is then we switch our attention to the charts that will trigger the bull market. And for me, chart number one is the Russell 2000, which like we said previously, is a direct copy of the total 2. This is the one that drives altcoin season. These are, micro stocks. And I think this is going to be absolutely key, especially if it pulls back here. I think this will be a confirmation for a reversal. Okay, so this is one chart to watch, and we do watch this regularly in the Discord. Again, the guys are doing a tremendous job. If you guys have any time, it's just $9 a month. You should be in our community at this critical point. Seasonality really is being thrown out of the window, but the stock market's been doing relatively well. Okay. And John said, personally, I wouldn't touch alts. At the moment, BTC 20% of all-time high, almost all, to their bear market lows. So, yeah, I understand that as well, because again, we are fully exposed into the risk assets. But for me, absolutely harrowing for most alts. If we drop another 20% down, like you suggest, right, for BTC, look, we are at the most crucial level that we've been in all this cycle. So let's go to, let's go to the Bitstamp chart for for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, let's go USD. Let's go to this chart here. So it does. I mean, look, fundamentally speaking, look, it does look toppy. We've got, 2021 levels here. We have obviously doubled in the price of Bitcoin. So from that fundamental aspect, you're seeing on the weekly that there is liquidity here around that $80,000 mark. But if we close below $100,000, then we have our bear market confirmation. So I can understand why you say that. Again, it's all about, this game is as much as luck as it is timing. But if you look at this, you know, we lose this level here. And this movement average right now is sitting around $103,000, I believe. So the way down, we have support around this 98 area, but you could see why if it fails this level, you could actually see there's nowhere else to go apart from this level here. So there is merit to that, but you know, again, you know, bro said BTC retesting lows from the last big liquidation. Yep, that's what I'm subscribing to right now, but we can't rule anything out. I think it could be a final dip before the cycle. Absolutely. Look, I genuinely believe the liquidity cycle and the bear market conversations, they just don't go together. And also as well, you know, stuff I'm seeing, wallets I'm seeing accumulate, because we don't look at this only purely from the technical analysis. We're also using a very powerful tool like Nansen here. And not only you see accumulation, but what you see here is, you know, what wallets are doing what and who's buying and who's selling and all that kind of information. There's a lot going on here with smart wallets, and especially with certain projects. And you might be thinking, okay, yeah, it's all going to shit and we're going into a bear market, but there are some significant accumulations going on within the market itself. Now, what Nansen does, Nansen actually alone doesn't really, you know, it gives you the detailed breakdown of individual wallets. And also it has actually built-in AI, so you get to see stuff like this. You see like stablecoin inflows. Now, this is the PayPal stablecoin that this smart wallet has just received. So there is active accumulation going on in the market. Again, you see stuff like this here. Top balances for a particular cryptocurrency. Wild world here. A DEX inflow of nearly, what was that? $250,000 in the last 24 hours. And you're seeing, look, you're seeing smart money buying alts. You know, you don't have to take my word for it. So we've got to be very careful in how we balance this. And look, what smart traders do, or what smart investors do, is they look at a set of data. For me, this is one of them. Of course, the price of Bitcoin, but the key is this one here. This one has predicted every bull move since 2017, right? Let me just share this with you. Step away from here for a minute. So this is the most important chart for altcoins. This is the total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin. So what we're looking at is the relative index of the total 3 or altcoins versus Bitcoin. Now, the reason I talk about this religiously, and I you know, this is one of my most important charts. We've got the price action here from the last bull market, right? And alts had topped 3 times. I want to show you the peaks. So alts versus BTC had 1, 2, and 3 tops all together. But if you look at alts versus BTC, what happened was we've had a 3-4 years, nearly 4 years of just absolute total crash out. So this does not suggest, if the bull market ends here, then our top versus Bitcoin in an institutional cycle would be around 3.9%, or sorry, 3.39 ratio to about 0.55, right? That's impossible. Ultimately, this cycle should be able to break out into these levels. Now, we may not even go higher than that, but what I would say is, with a bigger cycle, more liquidity, we should be looking for a ratio that at least breaks the previous 2017 all-time high. Guys, that hasn't happened. That's why you should, I mean, in my opinion, not financial advice, A lot of people are scared. Again, these are the times, in my opinion, that I will look back on and say, you know what, every dollar that I brought into the market now has played out way better than any other time in the cycle. So what we have is two things. We have liquidity expansion, we have a Fed pivot, and then we've got this call for the bear market. So I would be super careful right now. Of course, risk to the upside, great, that's not a risk, but risk to the downside is real. This chart has never taken off since 2021. And this has been the bull market trigger for the last two bull markets. Now, unless you're saying, you know what, scrap this all, this doesn't work, and these altcoins will never come back, then that's a different discussion to have, right? So, in my opinion, this is why altcoins right now, I mean, look at prices, right? With the exception, I have to say, of Bitensa Tau. Again, this is an asset that everybody should be looking at long term, because this is one of the few cryptocurrencies that is above key moving averages. It is literally the strongest coin in the market, but what you have is tons of undervalued ones. Number one is Casper for me. I think Casper's Cliff said something about Casper last time in the show. Casper is looking long term. Casper looks like one of the most bullish cryptocurrencies out there, especially if they get these, the DeFi projects up and going as and when the market really gets going. So I don't think the altcoins will fill these wicks that we've had. That's going to be impossible to do. If they do, then that's a bear market confirmation. Because this wick here, for example, the wick for Casper, that's insane. That tapped into liquidity that we've not seen. I mean, levels we've not seen since 2022 or the inception of Casper. So, yeah, there will be a rotation. There will be a huge rotation, in my opinion. But I do believe that we could retest to grab liquidity and then keep it moving. We start going back after Wednesday. We got a very good chance for government reopening. Before that, the new moon, of course, the moon cycle. I agree with you. I think again, I'm rather optimistic right now because my portfolio cannot be beaten down further than this, in my opinion. And 20% drop in Bitcoin will be disastrous for altcoins. But I just think time is running out to really start entering this liquidity cycle. And these charts, I mean, look at this. I mean, that wick, I don't think that Casper wick will ever be filled. 80% of a penny. That's generational. That is literally 2022 prices. No, bro. I agree with you, man. Where do I see Sui? So Sui is one of my bigger holdings. I do believe it should do incredibly well. The pullback has been absolutely brutal. And I did say from the last live show, this is a very important level. But what we're seeing with Sui is a continuation of this bearish trend. And it is at a very, very key level, right? This is make no mistake, it has to be holding these levels, right? This is a key level where the drop-off could be quite significant. Now, obviously, the candle was, I believe it pulled back all the way to around 57, 50 cents, that region. But for me, long-term projection is completely different for this one. I think this one is going to do very well from the bottom to where it's been. I mean, look, the fib extensions for me, they top out at $22. Nobody exits at that level. 2618 gives you around $14 top. And I think even, between kind of like previous all-time high, we should be doing 10x at around $7.20 from the average entry. And then from there, these fibs actually look very good for Sui. I think Sui will do very well because you can actually sell Sui comfortably, in my opinion, between kind of $6 to about $10 very comfortably. And then, of course, if you look at the fib extensions to the higher levels, they are not in the worst possible. You know, you don't want to be selling like above, like you don't want to be thinking about taking profits at, you know, these higher levels above $15, in my opinion. I think, you know, $10 to about $14 would be very comfortable. And then next cycle, I expect this to be the Solana competitor. It's going to compete with Solana massively. Yeah, I still stand with Lofi. I think Lofi is a hedge on Sui. And when you have the smaller coins, I mean, again, you know, this is the beauty of crypto, right? Like what you have. I mean, look at Lofi. Lofi was doing very well here. We expected a breakout into alt season. The market tanked, and then what you have now is a price below a penny. But then it's approaching a liquidity level here, which is the previous low from April or May, actually bottomed out in May. So I do expect this eventually runs with Sui. But look how close it is to this key liquidity zone. And I think we do get that. If you look at this on the 2-day chart, this is right now falling, but this is probably the bottom here. Should be around that maybe 50%. 00552 is the bottom of that candle there. But we may reverse before that. You never know. But I would be, you know, I'd be happy with my bag. To be honest, our initial average cost for this one was around back, you know, I bought tons in April. I did buy some last year, but the majority of my accumulation was here in the April lows. So this is now in one of those things. The chart looks like he wants to give us another opportunity. And, you know, look, accumulate some. Now, if you compare this to Toshi, for example, because I think, look, long term, like if we do get a decent bear market after we get out this year, look, even even Toshi has broken structure. Everything has absolutely tanked, guys. You know, there is absolutely no exception here. This was a beautiful, one of the most beautiful charts in the whole of cryptos, like in the entire market. Beautiful upward structure. Look at the sell pressure here. Soon as we got up here, red, heavy red, and the next level here is 304, 3036, and lose that, and then you're going all the way back down to 301. But I don't think it goes there. This is I mean, look, you've got to be very selective with what you accumulate with fresh money, because you know, ultimately, crypto will be back. We'll get into euphoria stage, and everybody will look back and say, yo, remember that live stream when I bought a bag of Toshi? It happens all the time. It happens all the time. But this is what I'm seeing with Toshi. I think this happened on the 1st of November. It lost that key uptrend here, as you can see. So, yeah, I think Lofi will do very well. John said, I'm hoping for a big bounce on BTC. Yeah, like gold. Absolutely. Disconnected though. I think that's a very good point that you raised there. But there is actually some macro charts we got here. And this is why we are just, I think a lot of people don't understand. 62% is where we're approaching right now. We're just under 61% on Bitcoin dominance. But again, you know, a few weeks ago, I literally said this could do a head and shoulders pattern Bitcoin dominance. So with Bitcoin dominance doing head and shoulders pattern, this massive, look at this candle today. You know, altcoins will forever be screwed as long as we've got this kind of action from Bitcoin dominance. So what I expect to see here is we really need to reject from 62%. Why? Because if you look at this on this is the 2-day chart. Let me just remove, let's just remove all our drawings here. This is what we're seeing now with Bitcoin dominance. And to your point, which is excellent, you know, we're totally afraid of what's to come here. But this is the key level, 62. I can give you a precise level for Bitcoin dominance, which is 62.11, and we're not that far away. Now, this was obviously the manipulation candle. Could we potentially come up a little bit more? Worst case scenario is we fill that. But I do believe this is the key level here. Why is it the key level? Because you see Bitcoin dominance being rejected. Here, like you can see multiple, what am I doing with Apple TV? Continue with this. Okay, so what we see here is Bitcoin dominance, rejection, and then it turned that into support finally, and it absolutely ripped. It came back to it, support, boom, and then it broke down again, went under it, got rejected, and then it came back down. So this is the most important level for Bitcoin dominance, guys. 62% level is so key. If we come up, which I think, you know, the bearish candles, the way we're moving now, we're kind of moving mad in the market. So what happens is we come and attempt again or whatever. If we close candles above and then go up, that would mean Bitcoin dominance is again attacking the all-time high here. So it's going to be very bearish. But if we come up and we retest, get rejected, I think this is the fall to the low 50s, in my opinion. But this is why alt season disconnects from the reality, is because of this chart. And again, look at this level. It's so insane. Like you see all of that action here at 62%, but it will reject. Again, this is the 2-day chart. If we look at this on the weekly chart, exactly the same picture you're seeing here. Multiple weeks. And again, you know, when Bitcoin crashes anyway, like the guys were saying, expect about, you know, up to 90 days of possible. It's just because we're in the seasonality, the business end of the season. A lot of us are just really scared right now. But 62%, we need to have a very strong rejection. If we don't, then we're cooked. We are ultimately cooked. And you can see here the fear and greed, you know, total crypto market cap here approaching a key line as well on the weekly. The RSI is in our favor. It seems like we'll get an extremely oversold condition for the total crypto market cap. Now, if you remember back in April, what we had was, this was oversold. This was oversold for quite a period. You know, hopefully we don't see the same thing, but this was like, how long was this? Yeah, this is like eight bars. Yeah, this is like 56 days. So what we need to see here is we need to see a reversal. Again, we're moving to a key level here with the moving average. But that's the total free. And what else we need to look at? And you will obviously see Bitcoin pairs. If you start looking at the alts versus BTC, there should technically be maybe only one cryptocurrency that's outperforming the market. You know, again, look at Say here, right? This is the Say chart on Binance. There is a very strong chance with Say that we will close this candle. So if you look at here, again, you know, look at that. Look at the oversold territory of Say. Say looks like it's again just confirming this wick here, but I don't think the whole wick will be filled. I think we will come down to perhaps maybe visit this 14, 15 cent level and reverse from there. But that's insane. Look how cheap that is. This is one of the most bullish cryptocurrencies. And again, just so you know, gold has been bearish, but look at gold, right? Gold on the weekly is still falling. However, if you look at the daily, gold rotation is coming to Bitcoin, guys. Gold is ultimately going to fall below 4K. Stock market was running, obviously down today, but it has been. I mean, if we invested in the stock market this time round, we probably would have made more overall. But this is again, this is going to reverse and pump like hell. Stock is up. Stuff like Tesla is doing very well. Bitcoin dominance is up. So these are the charts, you know, versus BTC. So this is Say's chart, Casper chart. I mean, there's no point in looking at these because all of them, without any exception, I think Sui is kind of strong versus BTC, but not by much. XLR reversing nicely versus BTC on the short time frame, and Tau has been outperforming BTC relatively for a very long time. And then ETH BTC is falling. So yeah, man, it's we're looking good. We're looking good long term. Short term, there's going to be a lot of pain. Long term, we are going to be all rich. Yo, Rich's AI is absolutely banging. And we did talk about Rich's AI last time. Let's see, is it holding up today? Let's go grab the ticker. Yeah, it's only down like it doesn't. You know, I've noticed with the subnet tokens, right? They don't mess about because they're obviously traded within the Tau ecosystem, right? This is exactly where it was when we did our last live stream, and 7 million in volume as well, 24 hours. That's crazy, man. Look at this chart. Yeah, it's old season, man. Look, these are the natural fears. This is the, in my opinion, when I see capitulation like this, it's like, okay, you know what? I want to do what the opposite to the market. It's just that we haven't had euphoria on the other end. Like Bro said here, look, perfect example. %, suppression. Lethal Bizzle said, it's over for crypto. All YouTube clowns who shill these tokens are going to be arrested someday. Yeah, let's hope so. Everything is going to collapse. BTC back to 50K. YouTubers have zero clue on what's happening in world politics and how politics control the market. I think we do, brother. Not all of them. Peace and love to you, bro. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, smash the like, man. It's free. It's free to smash the like. Absolutely, man. Thank you, bro. As with don't feed the troll. Nah, no worries, bro. Like, you know, we can take, look, we can take some different angles, in my opinion. Don't wait for alt season, he said, is going to happen. Watching charts isn't going to point the entire story. Keep in mind, I think the leather belt, look, if you know the amount of time we spend on macroeconomics, I mean, I don't think you'd have any reasons to believe that we don't really look at that. The interesting thing is, you know, and I do take your point. Your point's actually an altcoin signal, right? 10K into Lofi. That, listen, if you can grab million tokens, you know, a couple of million tokens there for you, I think it's going to do well. So just so you know that we don't just look at charts, and we obviously don't look at short. You know, we don't look at international politics. We actually look beyond that. So this is our preparation for the week, just so that I can kind of, you know, kind of reassure, you know, what we look at. And we don't look at these data points. We know exactly how the market is controlled. Of course, if you look at this, the banking stress is real. Overnight funded markets, right? And what else we're seeing? We're seeing Fed facilities as well. People make the mistake of believing that this is the same as the Fed directly injecting liquidity into the system. On the surface, it might seem that the Fed balance sheet does not grow, but if the SRF does not inject permanent liquidity, like QT does. So it's basically a temporary backstop. I think, look, we can argue about altcoins, we can argue about everything else, but the name of the game is liquidity, man. What we're saying is we are on the brink of receiving liquidity injections, right? And if the market does get that, then it is absolutely risk asset. So your point about saying, okay, it's going to be over, at one point it will be, but that point is not now. You are very negative, my brother. Yeah, nah, brother is an alt season trigger, because that is, you know, to a certain degree, you know, I do respect that type of angle of doom and gloom, because it does signal that we are nearing the end of this particular leg that has been very stressful for people. I think that point is also a complete disbelief. What's exactly shit till the yeah, it is manipulated. It is suppressed as well. Facts, bro. 100%. Because stable income allows you to participate the market in days like today. 100%. It's the Bitcoin of AI. I think many people don't really realize the true impact on data and AI, and I think it's going to be very obvious. It's going to be very obvious sooner or later. I think TAD one day will be trading around $50,000, in my opinion. Astral intelligence is good too, bro. Yeah, check that out. We'll check that out, bro. Facts, bro. It's the strongest coin I've seen in the last 2 months. If Trump, I think, look, it's hard to say, and that's a very, very good question. But look, I think we would have had a better chance of having some kind of like artificial pumps, but the stresses in the system were before Trump. I think he just kind of exacerbated with the tariffs because that's the strategy to break everything down. Ultimately, what they want is to borrow at a lower cost to refinance the debt. As debt refinance is coming, I think 33 trillion next year globally. So I think it's been a deliberate tactic. Of course, he's volatile. He's obviously made. I remember the liquidity grab in just the night before, like the weekend before the inauguration. That was madness. So he has not been all too great for general crypto market, in my opinion. But what he's put in place should start, in my opinion, to send us to levels that we've not seen before on the basis of regulation, adoption, and of course, pro-crypto policies. So I think, in my opinion, if I'm being fair, what we saw with Trump or what we saw with the crypto market, I think before that, way before that, with the Democrats, I think they even had, we were talking about recession back in 2023, during Joe Biden's time. So hasn't really changed that much in terms of the picture, but those guys weren't crypto friendly. So it's kind of 50-50, but overall he's tweeting and his direct involvement, his tariffs and brinksmanship, all of that has actually extracted crypto and he's in a circle. Oh, shoot. Close to happening. The banks are in serious danger. I think this is exactly where we were in 2003. And we went on a crazy run for the rest of 03 and into 04. And I think this is exactly what's happening with banking right now. The system is crackling. There's actually a major fears of recession. There's obviously eyes on the housing market. So we are entering a period of course, liquidity expansion. If you compare this to 2022, the Fed was tightening, liquidity was being drained. And most people think we had a bear market because of FTX. No, because in October 2022, the Fed were already hiking rates, right? Rampantly. So it is really interesting to see how the next few weeks play out. But I'm not stressed about it. I think it's even if you're 90% down, hold and wait, good times will come. Don't panic sell. I think that's the cardinal sin, especially now. 100%, bro. 100%. ICNT, bro said, is going to be the best AI data storage. Better than Arweave. World Asset. Is that the one? Sorry, ICNT said. Possible cloud network. What is this? 40 million. What is this? What is this? Let's have a look. Let's see the markets. This is on Bybit already. Low float, high FDV, trading volume is excellent. Decent exchanges. It's on Bybit, doing Gate as well, doing $3 million from there. And yeah, it looks interesting. Decentralized the network, run a node. I just think, look, anything to do with storage is going to be difficult to have a better deal than Arweave. Now, ultimately, this is a smaller market cap, the next internet, AI cloud. I'll have to research into this, but infinite storage sounds very good. Of course, storage is going to be very key narrative. I think Deepin as a cluster will be massive. Of course, it's unfair to compare this to Arweave right now. Arweave is a permanent storage and AO is the computing aspect, but are these two combined in this particular project? But it does look it needs more research. Interesting. See what their tokenomics are saying as well, because not all the tokens are out. Arweave for me is fully diluted, mature, been around since donkeys of years now. So fully diluted valuation, and the market cap here. Interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Let me follow these guys on X. Let's have a follow. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that, bro. I'll look into it. But yeah, nothing can match Arweave for me for where we are in the cycle, how undervalued it is, how long it's been around, what's been built on it, who uses it, the likes of Meta, fully diluted, $240 million. This is like 2022 prices, 2020 even prices. It's how crazy Arweave is right now. And look at this, it's fully diluted. Again, trading volume is decent on the major exchanges as well, like Binance. So yeah, look, Deepin and AI as a category, in my opinion, that is forever intertwined. I think this is going to be the next $1 trillion, possibly along with RWA. If we get like $1 trillion categories, I think it would be AI and Deepin, and it will definitely be tokenization with the likes of Ondo. But yeah, that's a very good shout. My brother, yeah, you never know. Yeah, true. What do you think of the base ecosystem and to Sui eco rotation? I think, look, base is bullish because I think, the token announcement, the fact that obviously it's Coinbase, big players, massive compliance, retail friendly, the Coinbase wallet. What actually makes Base quite unique is the fact that Base fully supports their builders, right? They, it's one of the best in crypto, in my opinion. So, any tokens on Base, for me, the likes of Toshi, Aerodrome, which suffered a bit because of the token announcement, will do very, very well. Base is also a good place for both AI agents and virtuals. And of course, Base is very, very bullish in terms of RWA. I think Base is brilliant in terms of looking at those tokens and retail adoption. Sui has not been discovered by the masses, even in ecosystem rotation. In my opinion, like I told you guys, I had to move from one device to another. I don't know if I can't remember if it was my laptop or I think it was on my phone and laptop. Anyway, I had to move my my data off my PC or whatever, my Mac, and I needed to reinstall my Sui wallet, my MetaMask. Everything else was long, really like tedious. Freaking get the seed phrases up and horrible, absolutely horrible. Then I went on to my Sui wallet, and bam, within few clicks, I was in my wallet. And that is the difference. I think when the Solana shit show ultimately, that bubble burst, and the shitcoin massive realized that Sui, you can do the same thing with Sui. I think Sui will push Solana to the limits. And I think it's a better chain. It's a faster chain, in my opinion. And that will be the future, one of the future layer ones, in my opinion, along with Casper, if Casper does the DeFi that Cliff was talking about the other day. So yeah, it's going to be massive. I think Sui is the chain of the future. And in terms of like the retail friendly aspect to it, you can't get better than, the way you deal with your wallets and the speed of the transfers that you can make. Still not 100% retail friendly because people haven't discovered it. Whereas Coinbase is going to be in your face, is going to be pushed into your Coinbase wallet, Coinbase app, a Coinbase institution is also very, very huge. So I'm actually bullish on both ecosystem, in my opinion. But I think longevity-wise, we may see crazy prices for Sui. Like if you go into a bear market and you start seeing that asset in, the low kind of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 cents, whatever it may come back down to, that's when you just stop and bag a generational bag, because the second bull market for layer ones like that is incredible. Arweave is getting delisted on Bybit. Is there anything that went wrong? I don't think so. I mean, look, if you're doing $50 million, right? If you're doing $56 million, so look at the trading volume, right? Just ask yourself, I mean, exchanges do this all the time, but Arweave is pulling in $56.5 million in trading volume, but it's doing it through the likes of Mexi, $10 million here with 9.4 with Binance, and 8.5 million with HTX. So if you rank it, Bybit doesn't even come into it. So it's purely because of that. It's purely because of that. That 24-hour trading volume is not there on Bybit, but the major two exchanges here, or even Mexi is doing $5 million on it. So 8% of that, which is not bad at all. So I can honestly, I can say exchanges look for volume. If volume is not there, then they can delist it if they're like. Well, that's a massive question, bro. Like, I hope we can. I hope we can. And yeah, Casper has, Casper is on fire sale. I did tweet that today. It's like, what the? I woke up. First thing I saw was my Casper wallet. I'm like, what's going on here? But look, while crypto's down, some charts just tell you exactly what's going on. I mean, look at this. This is again, I keep talking about strength. So Tower's been doing madness. I think Casper will eventually pick up from here. But like Cliff said the other day on the live stream, people are not really ready for what they're working on. In terms of the price performance, it has already kind of lost a key level here. Coming down to another key level would be around this Yeah, just dead flat on 4 cents. But I think it would be absolutely ridiculous for this not to do at least. This is probably another 2 cycle play like Sui, but it should go back up. But yeah, absolutely, man. I think if there's a say season, yeah, it would. But ultimately, if we look at the ecosystem, because look, the difference with say is I think there's more institutions involved. There's Sailor, there's Kryptonite, Sailor. What else was there in terms of I think there was a new DEX as well on say. But it's lost a bit in terms of the market cap already. So yeah, back to $1 billion for say. We came as low as around $500 million, $400 million in April. But I don't think we'll see April lows again. See, is Kryptonite one of them, right? TVL 120K. This is the only one I can think of, unless I was mistaken. This is what is this? Future of AI-driven wealth. Yeah, Kryptonite was a DeFi play on Say. Different blockchains. What else are we doing? Why is he inspiring them? Yeah, so this is the one, for say, pretty small, very risky. I mean, hasn't done a lot. I've been following this one for ages, and I'm sure they'll build something new as well, announce something new, but this is pretty much dead. Yeah, say is a good one. Oh, was it Dragon Swap? Shall we look at Dragon? Even then, still super, super tiny. I mean, look at this. $5 million. Very much. One thing I would say is if it was to compete with like the other DEXs that we looked at in Sui, it'd have to have slightly better tokenomics. But so far, you got 160 mil of the 1 billion out. But yeah, this is a good shout. This is a pretty good shout, actually. Because the only one that I used to monitor was Kryptonite, and that's pretty much done. Native high performance trading layer for say. I think this is a good early capture here. Good shout, bro. Because they are claiming to be the native DeFi hub. So for that reason, we are going to give them a nice follow. Yeah, good shout. Yeah, I think it will be very positive in my opinion, because at the end of the day, the subnets, of course, will have to grow. I do believe it was the rewards, the daily emission, sorry. So I think it will be very positive to to obviously see the growth of the subnets. I did have an article that I published a couple of days ago. See if I can find it. They're kind of like specific numbers. Yeah, so current emission now is 7,200, which will drop to 3,600. And then, of course, the alpha tokens will follow the same what do you call the same introduce the dynamic tau system that will subnets have their own tokens against tau. Both the tau and the alpha tokens follow the same halving schedule. Each subnet emits one alpha token per block, right? Alongside tau, all tokens approach the same maximum supply of 21 million. Early subnets benefit from faster liquidity, while later subnets face slower growth due to their halving. And two factors that can push back the halving, of course, recycling of tau spent by miners that is returned to the network, reducing the circulating supply and delaying the halving. That has always been, even their halving has been quite dynamic. And then, of course, the second one is dynamic tau. The introduction of alpha tokens and shift in network activity that slightly alter the halving timeline, and we've seen that. So ultimately, halving reduces the rewards for miners, validators, and subnet owners, potentially increasing the value of tau due to lower supply. Subnets that launched earlier will have an advantage in liquidity growth compared to those that launched closer or to the after the halving date. So yeah, it should be positive overall, but of course, any new subnets will probably benefit less than the older, more established ones. Hope that answers your question. Nah, brother, how could you say Cookie DAO is down? Do you think AI agents are coming back anytime soon? Now, the king of AI agents in general is going to be, without a shadow of a doubt, virtuals, right? Virtuals protocol is the daddy of that. Why? Because the chart it's just ridiculous, man. This thing is doing very well against the market. Now, the lows, obviously, we had the wick. Brought it down to historic lows, 28 cents here. I actually bought this at 6 cents. 3 4 cents? Virtual protocol. I did a buy alert at the same time, and I remember selling it way too early. But I did do a buy alert for virtuals at friggin' stupid numbers. Like this wasn't even the chart. This is the Binance listing, right? This was back in the day, man. Fuck, that was a generational. That was insane. You know, look at the Mexi chart compared to the Binance chart. The lowest is like 28 cents. This thing was like, 4 cents. But unfortunately, I sold it way too early. Way too early. And I still have the transaction details and the buy announcement. It's one of those things. But anyway, Cookie DAO is, look, most people look at where a project is going to go rather than just seeing the value for it now and the fact that it's undervalued. That allows you to accumulate way better. But if the market would have continued, I would have seen Cookie DAO hold above 10 cents But to be honest, this price action here was crazy because it did actually hover around that 10 cents level for a very long time. Now what you're seeing is if you look at the resistance levels, if we clear the chart, it's in a sell order block, right? But you can see how low the price is, how historically low these prices are. Some of these new cryptocurrencies are having a completely different bear market, because with the older ones, we can pretty much value what they were back in 22, 23. But it should fill this wick, in my opinion, because you're kind of at a key level right now where the price has to bounce, lose 7 cents, and look at the difference between where that is and where the ultimate, this wick is here. It comes in as another support line. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Cookie DAO. I think this is I call it the AI agents version of, it's an index, right? It's like a chain link of AI. That's what they call themselves. So you should be able to, from these lows, providing the projects don't rock. By the way, you have to also remember some projects have big backers, big listings. You know, this is on Binance, it's on Coinbase. So on that aspect alone, we should be able to come back. But at the moment, with the market and the way things are, I don't really see that happening just yet. But it is a great place to start buying. And then ultimately what this will do is, if we do get a confirmation of a bottom, this almost looks like the total 3. It's resistance here, break those two. Basically, Cookie DAO breaks above 16 cents, right? And you're going to higher numbers. And then you're going to higher numbers. Yeah, Turbo USDT, man. Turbo was the coin of 2023. It came out with Pepe. It was one of the OG meme coins. Again, got listed on Binance. But if you look at where we are right now, I don't even know what the market cap is these days, but yeah, you could come down a little bit more. 001 is a good level to reaccumulate this one. I don't think I would touch it before then. Bottom of that wick looks like it's going to get filled, and that is a very good price, but the liquidity is probably slightly lower. But I can see Turbo falling a little bit more. In terms of like, Turbo does have narrative. I mean, it's the first ever AI created meme coin. Once we get to euphoria, liquidity will find it. But for now, good time to look at the a bit more. Do you trade degen memes? Yeah, bro, absolutely. We've actually got, by the way, guys, if you're around, you know, join our VIP Discord, because we actually printed quite a bit. The guys have been on it. We've got a section. We've got a section there called I think it's called degen even. But yeah, the trenches, man, we're in there 24/7. But yeah, links in the description of the video. Join our VIP Discord for, you know, $9 a month, man. That's a good entry zone. That would be lovely. Below $2, anything is possible. And I think that will be a major entry. Appreciate that, bro. Hello to you too. I hope you're doing well. Good coin. Another good coin is SXT. Theo Legion, man. What a legend. I like your call so far on the charts. What's this one? SXT. Space and Time. I thought this was blowing up a couple of months ago, if I'm not mistaken. Fully diluted $200 million. What is this? Market cap submit. Missing data. Okay. It's a layer one, right? So this had a lot of hype. Sub-second zeros, whatever. Start building. I think the ZK narrative will also be big. I genuinely believe that. This was see if this was on Binance as well. Let me check. Got announced on. Now it's on KuCoin, Gate, CoinW. Yeah, it's on Binance as well, actually. But only doing 71K. Now the thing with Binance is sometimes they delist projects for low volume. But yeah, this did have a decent hype when it was launched. Yes, bro, another life. Like P. Diddy said, man, listen, I don't condone what P. Diddy did, but he did say the sun don't shine forever, but as long as it's here, we might as well shine together. Better now than never. Business before pleasure. And that's exactly what we're doing right now, man. Bear market vibes. But honestly, man, good times are coming. I think, look, we all forget how quickly sentiment can change. And we definitely forget, like looking at crypto bubbles today, you'd feel like, okay. And, obviously content creators are no longer as abundant as they once used to be. These are all signs that we are now in a unprecedented time. Liquidations today, 24-hour liquidations. Someone's getting rich as always. 4-hour liquidations, 86 million. And even in the last hour, they took $9 million. People don't ever learn. Alt season index is 37 out of 100. And of course, fear and greed. How that is possible, I will never know. Fear. Crypto fear and greed index. Yeah, no, this is more like it. 36 bearish. Obviously, CoinAnk looking at the futures market, obviously saying that the market is at 43, but clearly it's not. And then, of course, you've got gainers here. Jelly has been running absolutely audaciously and non-stop. And a bunch of other shit coins. And yeah, it's crazy to think that the market is this red. And yeah, genuinely, the volume is low. 7-day trend. If you look at the 7-day trend here, pretty much you've got, with the exception of Zcash, of course. And I think that's why Near Protocol will do very well. Do you think Trash Coin and Fartcoin does it have a potential? I think for a trade. Look, I remember a time me, Pete, and a few others, Cave, we traded the shit out of Fartcoin. And then, of course, I think those times will come again. But you need, look, Fartcoin was a brilliant trade during the summer, especially leverage. The other one that I always look at is Dog with Hat, tons of liquidity. And if Solana moves, they tend to stick to Solana and they move with Solana. As far as buying those for spot, in my opinion, I just wouldn't, I wouldn't break my neck on it. But yeah, they can do very well. 100%, bro. 100%. I think the entries now will look different once the market picks up. Yeah, bro said, look, I have to be picky because many coins will not rebound as they used to. I love that, man. I love that mindset. I think also, if you look at some of the coins in your portfolio with fundamentals, like, of course, I'll give you an example. Everyone is raving about Zcash. Zcash is built on Near Protocol. when you look at like Bitcoin, massive coins like Arweave that traded over $1.5 billion, and even in the bear market had decent prices, and they're used by the likes of Meta, it's going to do well. So I do agree with you. You have to be selective, especially on your core. I'm not laughing. You know what? To be honest with you, like, first of all, Jasmine and I go back a long way. And I did have a massive bag last cycle, especially during the bear market. But chart-wise, I mean, again, Jasmine is one I would trade on perpetuals. In terms of fundamentals and the Bitcoin of Japan and all of that nonsense, I don't buy any of that. I never did, and that's why I actually sold back in the days. I think I exited around 50% of a penny, or I think it was around that. But in terms of trading this, look, you would have had decent waves of trading this. It does actually pump. Look, it pumps with the market, and that's, as a trader, sometimes, if you take a low risk bet, and I'm not saying you should trade this one, because again, there's nothing that's going to suggest this will happen again. It should happen with the altcoins moving. Once it gets above this red line here that turns green, or once that line turns green. But you would have had 2 pumps out of this if you traded it carefully. And that's why I look at stuff like Near Protocol, right? If we're talking about fundamental plays with potential upside. Sorry, I didn't even show you Jasmine, guys, did I? So, yeah, Jasmine chart. If you look at the perpetual chart, right? So let's go to Jasmine. Let's have a look at this one here. Yeah, this is what I was saying. Look, it absolutely did numbers, but specifically only for trading. I was holding this shit back in 2023 for a while, and whatever. Then I sold it right before it pumped. So I'm never really and I traded it. I actually took leverage trade on this a couple of times, and I did make decent money on it. But it's not going to be the first coin that I go to. I'd go to something like Near Protocol right now, which Zcash is built on. Look for a decent entry. It may actually go all the way back to $1.50 or whatever it does. I'll be interested in anything between kind of like the 160 to about 150 for this. And yeah, I'll take a punt on it. Near Protocol is a fundamentally good project. It's not as good as Tau, but it is a very good, well-backed AI layer 1 that previously was difficult to stake, and they've resolved that issue now. So yeah, looks good, bro. What's happening? Yeah, bro, I saw a bit of that. I think that's an interesting one, right? It won't be. I mean, listen, Wintermute had it coming, but really we needed a good market maker to obviously send them, the prices right at some point. But this is, if you saw this, guys, Wintermute CEO Evgeny says that they'd never had plans to sue Binance, so they're kind of coming out saying, it's not true, but you never know. Massive rumors around Binance versus Wintermute, October crash. And I think the truth will come out at some point. And I don't know if it's true or not, but the rumors on the timeline is that Wintermute may be suing recent liquidation crisis. I mean, if they sue each other, again, it just points to more reasons why crypto needs an oversight, but that's a very good spot. I saw a bit of this on Twitter today. But yeah, the flash crash wiped out 600 billion in crypto. 13 minutes. It's more like 19 billion. Wintermute and Binance, boy oh boy, the reasons why we don't get these bull markets as they used to be more organic in the past, more natural, and it was retail driven. But now we've got these massive market makers, huge exchanges, no Gary Gensler. And yeah, the shit show is going to continue until they get flooded with liquidity, and then nobody talks about this ever again. But they've denied. I mean, I can't see how this will be in the interest of Wintermute, right? No plans to sue Binance, nor do they see any reason to do it in the future. Stop the FUD. Yeah, I think, listen, people don't like Binance nowadays, and people don't like market makers. But if your cryptocurrency has a market maker, it works both ways. What they do is first they squeeze the shit out of the chart, and as and when it's right for their investors, they send it back up. But first they squeeze retail out of it. Bought $4,000 of ETH. Is that bad? And first time in crypto. Well, if this is your first time in crypto, you should definitely join our DXB community for sure. And that's not a bad investment. I can tell you now. You could have bought $4,000 worth of an absolute total shit coin, but you haven't. Absolutely legend. That's where you start in crypto. I think that is the wise thing to do. And guys and girls, anybody who's starting out, we do have our VIP membership here for just $9 a month. So yeah, join our DXB Crypto family, because I can tell you right now, you will never get a better deal for $9 a month. Never. You know, I'm not shilling this, but I rarely talk about this. But when people say to me, yo, I need, you know, it's my first time in crypto, come and spend $5 with us, guys. $10 actually. Yeah. So yeah, join our VIP group, man. It's probably the best value. You know, time is money. Put a lot of time in there. Links in the description, guys. And I've just put that into the chat for you. But well done. You know, you could have bought the worst tokens and whatnot, and made a massive hash of it, but you bought the right coin. Yeah, a lot of people talking about multibank. MBG, interesting. Yeah, Altcoin will move eventually, I think, but yeah. I mean, if you're looking for a 5x, you know, you might as well go extra safe, in my opinion. I think Sui will give you 10x even. I think Say will give you that. I don't think necessarily you go for Altcoin. I think Altcoin is a place where you leverage, because I think the gains will be significant. Yeah, man. So it's 3 a.m. over here in Dubai. I think we had a fantastic show. Guys, smash a like, share the live. Let's save some lives. Let's give people some sanity, because people are willing to commit suicide because of crypto. I've had all kinds of stuff that I've been hearing. And let me know if you guys want to do another live stream tomorrow. Maybe we'll grab the caveman as well if he's around. Have a good show. But yeah, I will release more content on specific coins. And the other thing that I plan to do is bring you guys a bit more Nansen content, right? Because I have partnership with Nansen, and it's been a fantastic partnership with them. But I think I can give you guys some more in terms of, you know, what Nansen is, what it is that, you know, how we can actually check coins on the token god mode. Look at, you know, buys and sells here. You can see here, this is like quick heroes of Marvia. We can break down, I can basically show you stuff that you'd have to pay thousands of dollars using Nansen. And if you do want Nansen as well, you can always get this, you know, incredible tool that gives you everything that you need, like smart wallets. Like you can actually see the first ever people that bought Pepe, track their wallets as well. Look, look at the sale here, right? $5 million worth of Heroes of Marvia. And what is this? So in the last 30 days, this wallet has sent 188 million tokens to an exchange and sold, but it also tells you what wallets buy and how much they buy and that kind of stuff. All the big whales. Because normally what people do is people actually make an accusation about a coin. But what I'm seeing here is balance accumulation is going up while the price is falling. So who's buying it? All right. So price increases, but balance accumulation keeps going up and keeps going up. And again, once the price reached the top here, 22 cents, you could see the dump started really happening on the 27th of October, where this particular whale started selling massive amounts of Heroes of Marvia. But yeah, man, I'm going to take some rest. It's 3 a.m. for me. God bless you all. I think, yeah, let's use more Nansen with your coins, and I'll be able to search the smart contract for you guys on the next live stream. We can even friggin' track pump.fund stuff here. It's unbelievable. Inflows, outflows, all flows. Anyway, God bless you guys. I hope you did like the show. It has been brilliant to have you here. And let's do another live stream tomorrow. Take care. Don't be scared. It's only a matter of time before crypto changes. And of course, let's count our millions together. But I can't promise you the moon. One thing I can promise you is crypto is absolutely not dead. And we are about to start the new cycle, or the new leg up of the liquidity cycle. God bless you guys. Let me know if you like the stream. Give us a thumbs up on your way out and join our Discord as always. Have a wonderful night. Take care.